Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and today I'm coming to you guys with another Switch video, and we have to thank Unikeys. Unikeys has sent me out so many cool stuff. I have a discount on their site, so if you use code Mikey, you can get 7% discount, and I'm really curious what Switch they sent me. So this one's going to be the Keygeek M1, and I'm really curious what that's like compared to all the other types of Keygeeks I've tried, so we're going to have to go straight into the, taking a look at the Switch, looking at the information, and doing sound tests. But please make sure to like and subscribe, and come join the Discord channel. It'd be really great to get to know you guys. So let's take a look at the Switch that Unikey sent me. Now we have to thank Unikey because they've been sending me an incredible amount of Switches, and this time around was a huge batch. Now, this is the Keygeek M1. Now we've tried so many different Keygeek, and honestly, these M1s is kind of interesting. Do you see how it has like a marbly design to it? I think the sound is actually going to match the design of the Switch, but of course we're going to have to do sound tests with different keyboards. Now, this right here in my hand is the Keygeek M1. And what are my thoughts on it? It's that it's a very well done middle of the road switch. What do I mean by middle of the road? It has a very interesting sound profile where it's going to be more not too thocky, but not clacky, and gives you really like that medium tone switch. And I would say it's kind of similar to like the Keybay Guns N' Roses, but this one sounds a bit deeper. The Guns N' Roses can come off marbly, can even come off clacky, while the M1s I actually felt like didn't really come off clacky in many situations. Depends on type of build you're doing. Of course, depends on type of plate, foamless, and things like that. But overall, very good middle of the road switch. I actually really enjoyed using this a lot, very smooth, and that's just something that I love about Keygeek switches. They're very smooth. It has a very nice typing feel to it as well, which we're gonna have to really go into, taking it apart, checking out the feel, and of course, getting it into my spreadsheet in terms of the sound. So let's go right into that. So we did all the sound tests, and I gave you guys my thoughts in terms of the sound. So it is quite similar to like a medium middle sound switch. So like kind of thocky, but can also be kind of close to clacky, but not exactly like in the marbly side. Now you guys saw the information again on the screen. Overall, I felt that this switch kind of had an interesting sound in like different types of boards. So like with the foamless boards, I really felt like it could get towards like a clackier sound, not fully clack, but close. And then in terms of like the Evo 75, for example, it got really, really deep. So as we measure the distance, so we had 17.9 and then we go down. So measuring it out, 17.9 all the way to 14.4. I want to do it again just in case my measurement was wrong. So we are getting 3.5 millimeter travel, which is going to be what it says on Unikey's website. Now, overall, even the switch sound alone without it being in a board had a less clacky sound profile, and it was getting kind of in the deeper side. Now when we take it apart, we're going to have to really measure everything out, but let's take a look at the stock lubing of these stems. So Keygeek is quite known for very, very light lubing, like almost to the point where it's like none, but then there's some lubes on the, like where the stem would actually be touching the pins, and this is the same case for the M1s. Now, does the Keygeek need to be hand lubed? I don't think they have to be, but I believe that when you do, the sound profile will change a little bit, so it'll get a bit deeper if you do hand lube them. Of course, I don't suggest you do like heavy lubing. You should be doing very light lubing, and I think in general with more newer switches, the best way to do it is light lubing, and sometimes even Krytox 205G0 might be too thick for some of the new switches. I highly recommend actually kind of mixing it up with 105 just to get something a little bit lighter and a little bit more viscous. Now, this is a long pole, but if you look at the pole, it's a little bit shorter and compared to like some of the clacky switches, and you can see like the design on the bottom is actually kind of interesting for the pole. Now, taking a look at the spring. So they said it's an 18 millimeter spring, but when I'm actually measured this out, I was feeling that it was much longer. It doesn't seem like an 18 millimeter. And when I started pushing down, 21.9, like getting close to 22 millimeter. So kind of interesting why the spring length wasn't fully matching up. But to be fair, I've noticed that quite a lot in terms of switches. Sometimes the spring length that's mentioned and then what's actually measured is very different. So this one, I feel like is actually getting closer to a 22 millimeter spring length, and it's a single stage. So not double or triple stage at all. So what does that mean? Well, single stage will have more of like a linear feeling when you're pressing down compared to say like a double stage or triple stage. I would say even double stages aren't really going to be that different. Now, as you can see here, what I was mentioning with the pins. So Keygeek's switches usually have a lot of loop on the pins, and I think maybe that's kind of what makes their switches so smooth. It's a very interesting way of doing it. I haven't seen it much in like other types of switches, but with Keygeek specifically, I saw it a lot, and actually HMX sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. And of course, we're going to put it back together. And the next thing we want to do is, of course, take a look to see how does the switch actually measure up in terms of decibels. So I like to use a specific decibel instrument. It's a tool that I have that kind of measures like the decibels in the room. And then first, I'd like to see what is it like in terms of just normally, nothing going on. Once I start pressing the keyboard close up, by the way, this is really close to the board itself, and of course it's going to measure a little bit louder. So like we get all the way up to the 69, even like 70 decibels. This distance here is actually going to be more closer to what it would actually be like from the desk to you for the board, and it's not too loud. The M1s are actually averaging around the 62 decibels. So 62 decibels, I would feel like when you're in a loud office space, not many people are going to be actually affected by the sound. And in terms of the actuation feel, and is there like a bump or not, so even linear switches, depending on the actuation and like the grams of it, so like how heavy the springs are, can actually have like a slight bump to it. These don't actually have that at all. It's quite light and it's very smooth. So when you're pressing it down, it actually goes right in. You feel it press right away, and just a linear feel all the way down, very smooth feeling, which also means that if you do rest your fingers on top and you have heavy fingers, you could accidentally press a key. That's something to just keep a note for yourselves if you are someone who likes to rest their hands on top of your board. Next thing we're going to do is go into the stem wobble test. So as you can see with the stem wobble, it's not too bad on the top end, so very little rattling at the top end of it. Once you do press down the switches and then you start actually moving it around, you do get a little bit of movement. I find that Keygeek, it's pretty good in terms of stem wobble. Like they don't really have a ton, maybe just a little bit, and usually it's more vertical based. So if you can see here with the keycaps, just note that when I move it with a keycap, it moves more than you actually feel, but it is mostly vertical. Now going into the backlighting test, so the thing we have to take a look at next is how bright is it and does it affect the colors at all. So in terms of the M1s, unfortunately, you don't get a lot of lighting that comes through. I thought that possibly it would still get some lighting because the switches aren't a really dark color. Like usually switches that have like just pure black around it might have less lighting come through and like none at all. But this one, it also does affect the lighting brightness. So if you do like your lighting, the M1s aren't going to work well. So now going into my spreadsheet that I have where I'm doing measurements, and hopefully this measurements really help you guys in seeing the different switches. I haven't had much time to really update more on this spreadsheet, but I'll definitely look into actually updating a lot more. So as you can see here, like 240 hertz area, which is very similar to the Guns N' Roses, but a bit deeper, right? And quieter as well. So it's like a lighter Thock. It doesn't actually get to the Thocky point. So as you can see on my spreadsheet where you have like the Y2, Y3, where those ones are going to be a much lower pitch, and that's actually like a deep Thock. Overall, I think if you do have many boards and you want something in the middle and try something new that's like almost Thock but not Thock, and in like a foamless board, like a deeper clack, this is something you should definitely take a look at. You can also get a discount at Unikeys using my code Mikey. It gives you a 7% discount, which hopefully that helps you guys save some money when you're buying a bunch of switches. And of course, I'll have everything linked in the description below. Now, I do hope this video helped you guys in terms of saying, is the Keygeek M1 a switch that you should grab? And I'm really hoping that the spreadsheet that I've been working on really does help all of you guys in terms of, you know, seeing where and what switch is going to stand where. I will have it available in my Discord soon. I'm just working on it, want to add a little bit more to it and have it like easily updatable. So join the Discord. It's going to be really helpful to, you know, also hear from what you guys are thinking and what you suggest. And you can also use my code Mikey at Unikeys to get discounts on switches. So please, I would really appreciate it as it really helps support the channel. And of course, check out the other videos I got, and I'll have to catch you guys next time.